week, same time, we'll have 2 more hours on this particular topic, data science with machine learning. My name is Gola Jantimoti. I am giving this training from Nellore, and last 20 plus years, I am into IT industry. Started my career with a Java developer, and then I moved to DevOps. And since this data science and Python is doing some news in the market, I started this past 2 years, and I'm coaching various people in Bangalore and Nellore and Chennai on this particular, especially whatever the technology or whatever the things, whatever we needed in uh, Python and data science. And as we all shared the flyer, I will take you through the data science introduction. And today we concentrate more on the numbers and Python. And we will see a very small case study, and which is predicts the stock exchange rate based on the employee status and interest rate, and how to set up our machine, new machine with the Python and whatever it is. Whatever means whatever the package or whatever the module and whatever we need. And we see a small example importing the data and also data types today. And next Saturday, we will see more into the data visualization part and what are the steps we need for the machine learning algorithms to complete from the starting the collection of the data to develop an application which predicts what we need. That is the brief introduction for these 2 days. And generally, it will take a lot of time to get into the data science and Python and machine learning and go through each algorithm. It will take a lot of hours, but yeah, someone is. Yeah, right. Let me go to the next slide. Yeah, he is the person who invented Python, and he gave something like the joy of coding Python should be seeing short, concise, readable classes that expresses a lot of action in small amount of clear code, not in terms of trivial code that bores to death. What does it mean? There will be a lot of meaning will be there. For our session, we will have only few things. For example, if you want to write a piece of code which connects to any file system or a database and read the data from that, if you use another language like C, C++ and Java, the code will be like create a class for 3 classes, objects for the 3 classes, and you have to take care of a lot of exception handling and read the data and put the data. Generally, that kind of code will be comes around 10 to 12 lines. Whereas if you read or do the same thing using the Python, the code will be maximum of 5 lines of code. So I said 10 to 12 lines of code to 3 to 4, 5 lines of code. So the code is very short, very minimal code you are doing. The second thing is, if you know a little bit of English and little bit of mathematics, you can start learning Python easily. That means English plus Python. I am very weak in English, but still I am able to learn Python very easily. And now this Python is occupied and it is there in every industry. For example, recently I visited VIT Vellore. The biostatistics or bioinformatics people want a customized course on this particular thing, a training. When I accumulated the data and I talked to them, it just needs them for the 5 days course. That's it. For them, learn little bit of Python, no need of entire Python to learn, only how to write a small script and how to write a function-based program. And they don't need to really need object-oriented programming. And the domain knowledge they have and domain data they have. Only thing is we have to create a small application and also train the students in this particular thing. So as of now, there will be a lot of features will be there, but remember these two. One is that in another languages, the number of lines of code is 10 to 12. Whereas in Python, it is a 3 to 5 lines of code. That's the one thing. The second thing is, if you know a little bit English and a little bit mathematics, you can do Python coding. That's the second thing, right? Third thing, if you want to add, it is there everywhere, right? Based on our agenda of the flyer, and I translated that into my Python course. This is the agenda for the part 1, that means for today. I'll give a brief introduction and then we go to the data types. One is language based data types. I will review whatever is there in the Python so that it will be easy, because I see a lot of people who are doing final year MCA course also joined. It will be useful for them, and also the collected data and what different types or different ways, like, pardon? Yeah, please mute yourself. If anything is there, you can WhatsApp me or put it in the chat box. That will be helpful for me. Yeah, right. The data which we collected can be a structure-based data and unstructured data and semi-structured data. And then I will rush what are the topics or the things which we need from the core Python or the advanced Python. And third thing is environment setup. What we are going to do is in environment setup, wherever you go, whether you go to a browsing center or to a friend's laptop where he never opened any program, you should be able to set up his machine or the laptop so that you can work on the data science and the code. And today we will see some 10 small short examples using the NumPy. NumPy means it's a numbers plus Python. And we see what are the features of it, and each feature, and I will write a short program, we will do that one. And finally, we will end up today with a small case study of getting the stock price for a particular month based on the interest rate and unemployment rate. That means we have a data with the interest rate and unemployment rate, and we try to predict the stock price in the future or some specific date. What is the machine learning? The formula or whatever written may not be clear, but when we see from the 8th class our studies or engineering classes, they used to give a formula like this: y is equal to c plus c is a constant here, and this is a variable and some with factor, and unemployment rate with a factor. What we try to do is we will give a value to the interest rate and to the unemployment rate, and we will calculate, send the data 0 to here and 0 to here, and c can be some constant value. In this example is 4.20. For interest rate, we will send 0, unemployment 0, and we will arrive to a y value. And then we keep increasing this value 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, or in a specified range, and we will get the value y. So by input these two, interest rate and unemployment rate, are input values and y is the output value, right? So we are able to get the stock price. Y is the stock price here by sending different values. That's what we do in regular way. Now, as I am sending the values 0, 0 or some x1 and x2, different values, I have a set of values. For example, the data can be some other unknown machine, unknown source. And if I using the data set x1 and x2 and y, related y1, y2, y3, these things, if I am able to arrive to this formula, that is what machine learning is doing. That is what our goal is. That means, in simple terms, generally our teachers are, we know more about the formula, we give the data and we will get the output, or we will have a formula, we will give the input and we'll get the output. But in this data science or machine learning, we have a data set and we don't have the formula. The data set compulsory contains input data. It may or may not contain the output data. Whether it contains output data or not an output data, since we have a data, what data? We have a set of data. We will do some training, we do some testing, and we do some process so that we will arrive this particular. That's all about our course. Let us move forward. Right. Learning from data is virtually universally useful. So data is important. Data is important. Data is important. So you have data. Based on data, we can visualize the data. If you visualize the data, you can write a story, you can arrive a formula, you can draw some conclusion of it. Because of that reason, master it. It will take 6 months of time, but this is a starting. 2 hours plus 2 hours, 4 hours is a starting. It may take 60 hours for you, but you need to sit and do it. Master it, and you will be welcomed everywhere, right? That is the reason even after 25 years also, I am able to survive in the industry. So take the data, visualize it. Once you visualize it, build a story, and this process, you master it, you will be welcomed everywhere. That's what, I don't know who is this, John Elder said that, but the statement is great, good. And types of data. The types of data I mentioned as a structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data. Easy to remember. Structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data. When you open an Excel sheet and give the column names as merchant ID, merchant name, subtitle, status, and publish, those are called column headers. And each row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These 7 are values for this particular column. If this data is in an Excel sheet, or this data is in MS Access, or this data is in MySQL database or DB2 database in this structure, then this is a structured data, right? Very simple. We can open an Excel sheet and enter as it is. You have to do hands-on. I will share the course and all this PPT. If you do this particular thing, it's a structured data. We can say that a well-organized data in the form of tables that can easily be operated in a known, well-known structured is in this data. Right. Let me go to second one. Unstructured data. Unstructured data. Suppose you are playing a video file. We are playing an audio file. Or you went to a website, say http:// all training centers in Bangalore or Hyderabad, that kind of a website. It lists all the coaching centers or the institutes or NGOs who offers the training. So it has lot of information in that. That information may be unstructured data. You use something called web scraping or simply HTTP request and response or beautiful SOAP, and you try to get the data can be an unstructured data, right? I gave a lot of examples here. Text files, documents, server, website and application logs, sensor data, images, video files, audio files, emails, and social media. For example, in any company, they have clients and the customers who uses their application, and based on the application's performance or the running, they will send back the data in the form of a log files or a text files, and they can have a channels. The channel here is an email is one of the channel. Another is a SFTP channel. Through SFTP, they will send this file. And other is like a, as I said, email, text file, or an SMS. Those things they will send them, whatever it is. This is the unstructured data. We saw the first one as a structured data, which is there in a databases like MS Access, MX, Excel, like that. And then we have, third one is semi-structured data. The semi-structured data is in the form of a JSON file here, where a structured data, but here the thing is it is not organized in a proper way. This is also structured data, but if it is not organized in a thing, so we have various examples. JSON means JavaScript object notation, BIP text files, sometimes CSV files. Those are all things. Okay. Now, in the entire world, we have a lot of data. That data is captured, and what is the percentage of it? Semi-structured data is available 5 to 10% of data is in the in the semi-structured way. And also structured data is also 5 to 10% of the data. So major data falls in unstructured data. So the data we collect from various sources can be classified into three things. One is structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data. First one and last one availability is 5 to 10% of the data. Major data, unstructured data, the data which is coming from these kind of sources is 80%. So we collected this much of data, and since unstructured data is almost 80%, we need to apply some science and some technology for that to process that. Collect the data and analyze the data and build a story on that and draw some conclusions that is part of the data science. Right. Now, let us have three questions in our mind. One is, what is data science? Second thing is, what a data scientist actually do? And third thing is, any real use cases of data science. Okay, first one is, what is data science? Data science is a field that extracts the knowledge from the data. Data we understood now, three kinds of data. From that data, if you are able to extract the knowledge and insights from it, especially from the unstructured data. To do so, in order to do that, we need to use mathematics and statistics. That is the first thing. The second thing is, you should have a domain knowledge and you should have soft skills. That means whatever knowledge you acquired from the data, you should be able to present it properly in an understanding way to other people. And third thing is, you should have a programming knowledge, especially in the days, at least a Python or a R language is needed, and it is a must. And then you should be able to visualize the data. While presenting also, it is better to visualize, present it in a visualized thing. So four things I told. Data science is a field that extracts the knowledge, extracts the insights from the structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data, using the technologies or using the mathematics, statistics, domain knowledge, skill set, soft skills, and programming, database concepts, and data visualization. Right. Remember these things as of now. As you explore more, you will get more information related to that. Based on different textbooks, based on the different departments, the definition of data science may vary, but basically, this is what the data science, what I mentioned now. Second thing is, what a data scientist actually do. The person who does whatever I told before, like collection of data, applying the mathematics, statistics, visualizing the data, and drawing the conclusion and drawing the knowledge out of the data is data science. If a person does it, he will be the data scientist. What a data scientist actually do means, again, I will repeat in a different terminologies. First thing is, he will understand the data, collection of data, understand the data, and he will present the data using the data visualization technologies. And he will create a model out of it. Creating a model of it, what it is, in the previous slides, I said, in one case, people will give the formula, we will pump the data into it, and we will get the output. Other thing is, we have a data set. That data set, we will prepare the data. From that, we will arrive the formula. Arriving that formula is loosely or related to the data modeling. So three things here: data understanding, data preparation, then he will evaluate that particular model, whether it's rightly there or not. And then once that is evaluated or tested, then that will be deployed. And after deploying, what will happen is, he will develop a application based on the business understanding. This is what a data scientist will do with the data, right? Third thing is, what are the real world use cases of data science? There are so many are there. Google Amazon, Santander Group, YouTube, they does that. And in Google, they use or they take the help of the data scientist to build best algorithm. In some organizations, they use this data science and machine learning algorithms to improve their testing, their written code. They might have written a small piece of code or a huge number of code, and they use machine learning algorithms to improve their test cases or the test data so that they'll arrive with the best cases. So in real world, data science is almost there everywhere. Right. Let me summarize, and while after the recordings are shared, you can pause it and look into this one. If you see other languages like C++ or Java, the data types are very huge. For int itself, they have different 4 types of int variance is there, flavors are there. So here, I just read it out. Later, you can pause it and listen to what I was saying. First data type is integer. We can use to represent the whole integer numbers, and it is a class of int. So whether it's an int or a float or a complex or a boolean, all are of type class. In Python, as you are all attended, most of the people attended the previous sessions, we know that if you want to know what it is, you simply say type of A and you will get this class of int. So when we say all our classes like this, class bytes, class string, class boolean, it contains 2 things. One is like attribute, another is functions are the methods which act on those attributes. Clubbing those 2 together is called a class. Means the class contains member variables and functions. These functions acts on those attributes. And then if you see in this slide, all are immutable. That means we cannot change. We cannot change the value. In Java, we have a concept called string object pool. It uses that kind of concept here, right? I'm not going in depth in that, but those things we can remember that one, right? We have another thing, byte array, range, list, tuple, set, frozen set, dictionary. In our data science or for our data science program, you should be able to master this range, master this list, master this dict. Dict, list, range are very, very important for our practice purpose, and I will explain in little there. The range is having 3 flavors, range of 10, range of 0 to 10, range of 0, 10, 2. That means it generates the values from 0 to 9. If it is a 10, it's not a 0, it's a 10. If it's 10, it returns the values from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This, if it is a 0, 10, it also 0 to 9 it will generate. If it is 10, 0 to 9. 0 to 9. That means 10 values it will generate. How I will get that value is the last thing and to the end thing. That means the range mentioned as an end and range as a beginning. This minus this, that many values, 10 values. But it starts with the 0 and ends with the 9. That means this is excluded. End is excluded. It also works as the same way, but it goes in the step of 2. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. That's it. 9 won't be printed because it goes in step of 2. If you want this in a reverse order, you have to put -1. That's what I think. Yes. Right. List. I will show you some examples using this particular list, but here you have to remember that this has to be open in a square bracket. That is the list. I have some examples below. And dict. We saw in unstructured data, which is having in a form of a JSON, that JSON is equivalent to dictionary data type in Python. So just read the file and assign the value to a variable. That variable type is dictionary, a group of key value pairs. So you see this here, 101 is the key and the value for that is John. And the key is 102 and we have is called enter skill. So this 101 and 102 will have act as the keys and this is the value. So we see some programs in next session, or when the slide comes, we will do something. Yeah, right. Why Python of machine learning? It is a little bit old slide in 2018. That's where when I firstly prepared this particular slide, I copied from internet and I kept it here. At the time, the usage of Python for machine learning is almost 65%. And from 2016 to 18, if you see that the usage of the Python for machine learning is increased like this. We have another thing here, R language, which we hear in the market. If you go to Amirpet or BTM layout, people will ask you or put a banner joining these courses. It is there here and it increased 2017, but there's a drop in that. But there is I can mention a lot of differences, but here R is having more packages or the modules which are related to statistics, right? And we have Anaconda, we may use that. That Jupyter notebook will be there, we can use that one for achieve this one, right? This also you can study when this was shared. I'm not going to help you out in environment setup, but I will tell the key points in that particular thing. Whenever you have a fresh laptop or you go to any laptop which doesn't have a Python or Anaconda or something like that, you have to keep in mind three things. One is like we will have downloading part. Yes, it is mentioned here. Second thing is installation part. And third thing is configuration part. Whether it's a Java, C++ or any software, any product, anything comes into your world. When we talk that it is an environment setup, you have to do three things. One is downloading, second thing installation, and third thing is the configuration. What is downloading? Suppose you like MS Dhoni photos, or you like Virat Kohli, or we know some other person photos. You will go to their website and you right click and save as. That is called downloading. Here what we are downloading, we are going to download our required software from their web server. That is called downloading. That means from one location, you are copying into your local laptop or wherever you can able to access in EC2 instance or in a cloud or a Google Drive. That process is called downloading. What happens there? It just copies the files from that location to this location. That's the thing. Second thing is installation. When we say installation, extracting that file and keeping in wherever it's needed. That is called installation. Generally, it will available in exe format or in a zip format. If it's the installation part, you just double click and keep going and all. I prefer when you are using Anaconda or simple Python packages, take that exe file, double click, while going that one, keep check everything so that the full package will get installed. The third part is called configuration. It all related to a couple of things. Example, setting the path is called configuration. That is one thing. Another thing is, if it is a service based, making that service up is also called a configuration. Right. For example, in configuration, again, three things will be there. The first thing is putting the home path. You have to put the home path. Second thing is, there is a directory called bin directory will be there. There we have to put that bin directory to the path. Third thing is, there will be a library, lib folder will be there, that we need to put it in the class path. That is called configuration. That is called configuration. Right. I show one slide which contains the required packages for the machine learning. For example, if you use Anaconda or any other package or a tool, everything come into your laptop, but it is your duty, we have to do this. This is while installing, it is better to check this. This will be by default, it will be unchecked, few of this, but you check everything. For that, I showed this. And here also better to change the path so that if anything is needed, you can do that. And other best thing is create a virtual machine wherever needed so that you can have a multiple versions of Python in this. Rest of the things you can simply click next, next, next like that. Right. This part I explained, required problem. Use this pip tool to do that one. Why I just pip install that package will help. But if you are behind the firewall or anything, if you want to bypass this one, you have to put pypa.org and this particular thing, Python hosted, files.pythonhosted.org into the trusted host, it will be done. Right. If I see my laptop where I am using Python for a couple of years, I just listed it by using this command called pip.list. If you see this one, using the pip command, I downloaded, I installed these many packages. For example, I have one thing called, I'll come from the top to bottom. When I come here from top to bottom, we have something called matplotlib. For plotting purpose, for data visualization, we can use this, or we can have latest things like Seaborn or something. Here it mentions up to the version of it, 3.2.2. And second thing is here we have the NumPy. Today we are going to see some examples during that for that. And we have pandas. These three are related to our data science. Pandas are to use for the data framing. I'll explain that one. Pip, I already explained, that is to install, to download that particular package, we use this thing. And all Py related or Python related, we are not going to do much. Now I have scikit-learn, that also for the data science. SciPy is also for the data science, and sklearn is also for data science. Why I mentioned here is, here I said that required packages for machine learning, those are the packages. If you simply use Anaconda, many of these things will by default will come into thing, but I prefer do it one by one. Right, this is again a slide. I'm not going to read much. I'll keep it for 2 minutes. Even later also, you can see why Python or Java, which one is right for you, right? The thing is, I will read it out and stop here. For example, recently I met a girl and she got confused, telling that I don't know Java because of that, don't know the Java. She feels that she's not learn or she won't be fit for any job in the IT industry. She's working in non-IT industry and that is her thing. It took some time for me to convince that No need of Java. You can learn any language like Python or C++. You can choose a domain where you can work, but still, no, they have something. And so I said, okay, since your passion is towards Java, go and learn the Java. Then she said, I don't know C language. So that's the fear, but this slide will help us to understand where to start. There is no single right answer to the question of which language is right for you. The right language for you will depend on what you want to accomplish and which trade-offs make sense. Python is a good choice if you are a beginner looking for an easy to learn first programming language. I said, right? Mathematics plus English. If you're aware of those things, you can learn Python. Second thing is you are a data scientist first and a programmer second. We mentioned what the data scientist does and then a programmer second. If you are looking for a DevOps scripting language, go for Python. If you are interested in the machine learning and artificial intelligence, use Python. Java is good if you want to develop Android applications. If you want to develop cross-platform applications, go for Java. You want to develop backend solutions for large corporate systems, go for Java. You want to develop video games, although we suggest taking a look at C++ and C, it's Java. This slide will help her to take a proper decision. Right, let us go. Can I stop here and we will take a break for 15 minutes and come back again?
Yeah, sure, John.
In between, people can post the questions in the chat box. John will be answering when he's back.
Yeah, can we start?
Yeah, if you're ready, we can start, John. Yeah, we can start, please.
Unmute and video. Yeah, I think people are posted some questions. I will go one by one, and many questions I see that if you Google it, you will get it. Otherwise, I will also answer these things. Regarding the PowerPoint, PDF, and the team will share with you all after this 2 days session. And there is a, can you repeat meaning of the data science? I will repeat that as the, when it comes to the flow. And second thing is, what is the difference between data analyst and data scientist? A data scientist is someone who can predict the future based on the past patterns. That means he has a previous data, and based on that one, he will predict what is there. Whereas data analyst guy will take the data and he will analyze and creates or gets the knowledge and the meaningful insights from the data. So that is the clear difference between data analyst and the data scientist. Right, data scientist, someone also answered it. Yeah, good. Good. Should we learn Python as a full stack developer or any particular module enough to become a data scientist? To start with, it takes a lot of time to learn Python as a full stack developer. If you go to tutorials part, the number of things are very huge. What I suggest is, especially Python contains 3 parts. One is like scripting part. Second thing is function-based programming or methods. Third thing is object-oriented programming. So if you are able to master function-based programming along with the concepts, core concepts. Generally in market, it's called core Python, but technically there is nothing like core Python and advanced Python. But hope you got it. You have to learn how to write a functions, methods, and using that one, how to use inbuilt functions. If you start with that, it is easy. Should we need to learn Python as a full stack developer? Answer is no, not needed. It will take time, 2-3 years. Or any particular module means it's not a single module, it's a collection of packages, lot of packages. For example, I shown in one of my Windows console, list is there, you have to know related packages. We produce insights from the data, that's the answer. To become a data scientist is mandatory to master our Python programming language. Yeah, one of these you need to master. Master in the sense, not this way, whatever you know, this way. Can a person with a good hands-on experience visualizer to Tableau can become a data scientist? Yes, you can expand your knowledge to train the algorithms and test the algorithms. You will become a data scientist. Sure, yeah. So it is necessary to learn different algorithms for data scientists. Answer is no, but you should know what is the purpose of algorithm, what are the pros and cons, and where to apply those algorithms. If you're able to answer these questions, it's good to start. You are not you don't need to learn those algorithms, no need, right? There is a different area, but we are programmers or we are test engineers or we are like this. It is, you have to know pros, cons, and where to apply those things, right? Can you please distinguish among the terms data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence? Oh, this is also, you'll get, Google it, you'll get it. And to me, I answered what is data, and whoever creates the predict from the data is called a data scientist. And machine learning is one of the technology or the set of algorithms where you apply on this data set and get the predictions. And artificial intelligence is much more deeper. So for example, it's a big, data science is a big thing. In that subset is the machine learning, and much more subset is the artificial intelligence. Yeah. Right. Google it. You'll get much more better answers. Right. Yes, all of them you need to be perfect. Wow. You cannot be perfect. Yep. Good. If that is the desire, it's good. How the storytelling plays a key role in the data scientist. Yes, we need to present it very well. Otherwise, people won't accept the market. Some other guy will tell a beautiful story and we will do that. For example, previously I told about a stock market. By the end of the course, you will get certain points related to storytelling will tell you or give you confidence, and it plays a key role in that. Please wait for the completion of the course. Yeah, please distinguish data scientist, machine learning, and also this done. Yeah, right. Hello. Can a person start learning any course pertaining to data science? Will the employer look for experienced candidates? Yes, you can start with Python, and irrespective of the HR or biotechnology, bioinformatics, or hospital, pharmacy, or whatever it is, please choose the domain first. And in the domain, if you are able to comfort about that one, using the core Python, you can start script and you can automate what are the general tasks you are done there. Yeah, it will do that. Right. Hi, I have learned and worked on projects on my own since 1 year on data, but unable to get through the interview as almost every company is looking for experienced candidates. How should I apply and approach for jobs? Yeah. Right. One is like you said that I have learned and worked on projects on my own since 1 year on data science. That's a great thing. And because a lot of resources are available on the net, but when you sit before an HR, your presentation helps a lot. Your presentation helps a lot. For that, you may need to look into a couple of ways. One is that he will ask the questions. Most of the questions he will ask from the net or from his experience, what he's doing in that. And many times you should prepare in that way. The easiest way is like master the interview skills. All depends on your attitude before him, how you have to present that I know everything. And mostly they'll ask the fundamental questions. For that fundamental questions, don't tell stories. You have to sharp and straightforward. He will get the keywords from you. Some books may help you, like in net also for the specific things, top 20, top 80 interview questions on that. The questions are correct, answer may be wrong in the net also. Or if anything, if you see the BPV publication, they are coming up with that. So follow that one. Yeah, that will answer you. And confidence, all your attitude before the interview guy. Don't think that the interviewer knows everything. No, he'll Google it and get 5 questions and ask you. But he will judge you. He will judge you based on your answer, whether you are playing games with him or bluffing or something, because he knows the fundamentals of the thing. So you cannot cheat them or you cannot play games with them. Right, your attitude and few answers for the fundamentals. Can you get a job with the data science as fresher? Yes, why not? Yeah, right, shall we go ahead? Right, couple of questions I didn't answer because those will come. Right. We will, what is time now? The time is 11:30 and we will stop at 12:30. Right. As I said that there are 32 different types I showed in the previous slides. And I said most of them are mutable and something are immutable. That term you have to learn, that particular thing. And in the entire slide, I said something like list, dictionary, and other thing. What is the other thing? List, dictionary, and other thing is range. We need to master it. So that range is useful for creating that dummy data or sample data in your program wherever you need. Right. This is square bracket will help you to create an empty list. And this list can contains various objects 1.76, 1.64, 1.75, 1 and 57 are objects. And these objects has to be separated by a comma, irrespective of whether it's a list, set, or anything. It has to be separated by a comma. Right. And then it can be homogeneous like this, or homogeneous like this, or heterogeneous like this. What is homogeneous and what is heterogeneous is, homogeneous means it will, someone is have switch off your video, right? It is disturbing. I'm seeing entire home. Please switch off your videos. Right. And homogeneous means we have a data, similar data like this, and similar data like this. Heterogeneous means here is a string, here is a float, here is a string, float, like that. You can have anything here. And this is how we create the data or assign a list. And this is how we access that particular each value using the access. Here the square bracket is used to create, here the square bracket is used to access the data. And 0, 1, 2 are the default index for that particular data, right? And we can access directly like this each item, or we can use the for loop, right? And for loop and while loop in Python are more efficient than what is there in Java. And other thing is, like, we are having these things, like length of is a inbuilt function. So go through this. I intentionally made this as a GIF file because you should not copy this thing, but you type everything, you will get to know these things. Like this, I have 17 examples, and we can practice those things if you are not done anything, because in previous session you might have heard the same thing. I kept it here, but you need to have hands-on on this. So we have 17 examples here, and here we have the dictionary example. In the dictionary example also, this will be the key and this is the value. This is the key and the value, and this each key and value is separated by a comma. So here the dictionary example, if you print it, you will get it. For example, I said that in semi-structured data is equivalent to the dictionary here. Sometimes when you read the JSON file may not be compatible to this. There's certain symbol will come. Instead of coming like this, B colon will come. In order to know that, you simply, after reading the data from the file, you simply say that type of this thing. When you say type of this thing, you will get to know whether it's really a dictionary or some other format or in a binary form or some other format. So typecast that one into the JSON, you will get it, the data will be cleaned up, right? Practice these examples, we will go to this thing. The next thing, here also for loop, and we use the key value pairs, right? So what I suggesting over here is, if you don't know Python, master list, dictionary, range, certain things start with, and master the for loop and while loop so that it will be useful for the data science, right? Here is important for us. List is a collection of index value pairs as that of array in any other languages. In Python, there is nothing called array, but we use the list, set, tuple, etc. But for data scientists, you need to know the list. This is what I read it out. Dictionary is hash structure of key value pairs. List is created by placing square bracket, separated by comma, and we can access the elements by using the square bracket and access the elements using the for loop, right? Dictionary is created by placing elements by flower bracket, and key value, each key value pair is separated by a comma. The indices of the list are integers starting from 0. The key of dictionary can be of any data type. The elements are accessed via indices. The elements are accessed via key values. The order of elements entered or maintained, there is no guarantee that there is an order is maintained here. Right, this is order is maintained. When you say is order is maintained, you can able to sort it, you can able to access it, you can use the formula. That's the meaning of the particular order is maintained. That means index is maintained. Right, this someone asked a question. Do I need to learn the full Python? Not needed, but you have to be master in core. That means fundamentals of Python. Second thing is you should know about how to write a small functions. You really no need of class-based programming for data scientist, data science course or machine learning algorithms. It is good to have, but really not needed. Consider a module to be same as a code library. That means write a small Python program. It has an extension .py. That file itself will become a module. A file containing a set of functions. Actually, it is, we can come like this. Module contains a file. File may contain a class. The class contains a set of functions, and the class contains a set of attributes. Class contains the attributes and the functions. For example, class person is there. His age, his salary, and his date of birth are the attributes, and the functions which acts upon it are the functions. So reverse way, class contains attributes and the functions. The class can be kept, or the set of classes can be, or set of functions can be kept in a file. That file, if you stir it as a py file, that will become a module. Modules in Python are simply Python file with the .py extension. The name of the module will be the name of the file. A Python module can have set of functions, classes are variable defined in this thing. This is a repetition of first 3 lines. Yeah. Right. This is function. So in Python, the functions are very, very, very beautiful. The calling point
John, you are muted by mistake.
Sorry. Now is it audible? Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. So the functions, we have 4+ types of functions in Python, which other languages, traditional languages, or the languages which are about C, C++, Java may not offer. We have something called positional augmented functions, key-based functions, and default argumented functions, and variable length functions like that is there, and lambda expressions are there. So try to master that one. That is helpful a lot in programming. Here I written a function with the def keyword. There is a definition. This greeting is a function, but it will act as a class also, because everything in Python is a class based. So greeting is a function, and these are like input variables which can have a variable length with a comma separated. And this is a colon, and we follow the indentation. And this is a structure. We are doing that one. And if you can choose to import only parts of the module by using the keyword function. So this is how the module is prepared. Important is writing the functions. Second thing is you can choose to import only part of the module by using the from keyword. I will show you in my examples how to do that using the from keyword. Or you can create alias using the as keyword. That means from module, import only that particular person one. This will be visible. This won't be visible if you do like this. Or given alias by using import my module and as mx. So this mx will form as a short form for this my module. So wherever you need it, you no need to say my module dot. Here if you try to use my module dot, it will fail, because this entire my module won't be visible, but only visible part is alias. That alias is mx dot person one age, this one. So if you Another way of writing is simply say import my module dot person1. Since you are writing some 6 letters extra, your hands will pay. So better use alias for that. Yeah, right. There are several inbuilt functions in Python along with whatever you wrote. This is called user defined functions. There are a lot of inbuilt functions or modules in Python, which you can import whenever you like. Example, one of these. Those are called batteries also in Python. Modules, batteries, you have to do that. Where are we? Now we have to go to the next slide. Right. These are again inbuilt functions. No need to go now, but just to show that there's a minimum value it will find out, absolute value will find, power will find out, math will find out like this. But we won't use these things in data sets, but you should be aware. But we will go to the NumPy. NumPy means numbers plus Python. It has its own inbuilt functions based on this, because NumPy is a module or a package or a batteries which helps you to do the Python, call the Python API on the numbers. So mostly we use those things which are more efficient than these things, but these are from the core Python things. So we will use this NumPy. Right. Just reading it out. NumPy means numbers plus Python. NumPy is a Python package. It stands for the numerical Python. It can perform mathematical operations on arrays, can perform logical operations on arrays. So you should have hands on few mathematical operations you are doing and few logical operations on arrays, and Fourier transformations, and how to change the array's shape. And we have functions like shape is an attribute and reshape is a function, if I'm correct, and some operations related to linear algebra. And we have inbuilt functions for random generated numbers. So there in the previous slides, I said about the range, we have something called a range. So we won't use mostly those things, but we will use what is there in the NumPy. Yeah. So I have a few examples getting the attributes like ntim, shape, dtype, and some utility methods, getting the zero arrays, ones arrays, and diagonally values and range. It's not double R, it's a range, array range. And shape, this is what I was telling. Shape is an attribute, reshape is a function. And how to slice a two-dimensional array by using row start and row thing. And Boolean indexing, inbuilt functions. These are we need to know. For 10 minutes, I will take and I will run some programs so that you will get to visualize what I am running the code. I have PyCharm. You guys are able to see my PyCharm here?
Not at, we are just seeing the slide deck.
Slide deck. I am stopping the sharing and I will share my, reshare my entire screen again. How to stop this? Yeah. Now?
Yeah, now it is visible.
Right. I have few examples. I just show you. You need to install Python for this. I have an editor called PyCharm here. And let me say the simple program. See, I imported NumPy as some alias. This NP will be alias. So wherever I go, I will use that NP dot. If you say NumPy dot, it won't work. If you want to use NumPy, it has to be like this. Right. Now, this data set is a hard-coded value here. This value can come from structured data, unstructured data, or any resource, any source, any database, the data can come and it is assigned to here. Suppose since I know it is a list, it is fine simply saying IP of. But if you really want to know what it is, you have to say that type of IP. And where it is stored, you have to say that ID of IP. And if you really want it has to be written in the console, you have to write it. Now, we converted that into an array, NumPy array. This is actually a list and NumPy and I just run it. We have to run py create inside the numpy.g directory, right? So it will be a numpy array now. Arrays are not there in core Python, but in numpy, these are the arrays. It is indexed, it has its benefits. Now, attributes, certain attributes are there for the numpy. So we created a two-dimensional array, which is having 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, two-dimensional array. If you want to know the dimension of it, you have to say that array2.ndim, array2.shape, array2.data type. So these things you can py num p-a-t-t-r2. So those values, the dimension is a two-dimensional array, the shape is 2 by 4. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 are there and 2 things are there, and type is int 32 type. There will be a lot of types will be there in NumPy, different than what I shown in the slide. Those things are not printed. Now those are attributes. Whatever I mentioned here is attributes. These are attributes, ndim, shape, d type. Like that we have some utilities. This py so we printed all zeros here all ones here, and diagonally if you see here, 1 is there, 1, 1, 1. It is like this. So this is the range. As I said that 5 is, it will up to 5, it will print this thing. Right. Now py numpy multi. Right. The multiplication or multiple arrays, we can do that. Let us see what it does. If you see the program, yeah. Array, this is a repetition operator. 20 times the star will be printed. This is actually, I'm slicing this one. If you see the deck, I say that this is the row start, row end, column start, and column end. Based on that, it will slice that particular array and it will print that particular thing. And you can reshape the array. See, original array is of this shape, and I reshaped it without using the attribute. You can use an attribute and shape it, but you can call the method reshape and reshape it. Let us run this one, num reshape. Right. First is this dimensional array, but it's after reshape, it will be like this. So we have, I will share this entire course. You will have the hands-on on these particular things. This is a broadcast, Boolean index, whatever slides. Equivalently, I kept these things, right? This, I will explain this particular thing end of today. So like this, you need to practice based on the deck here. Other way is in the net, there is something called 100 programs using the NumPy. Take that and type blindly into that. But once you've done and you corrected the syntax errors, then try to understand that program and come and map to this. That way also you can learn that one. Because already 100 programs are there in NumPy. Try to blindly execute them. Once you execute that, think that where it falls into this thing. That way you can learn those related things. Right. Let us go to next slide. You're able to see my slide, right?
Yes, John.
Yeah. So we will see a little bit of introduction to the machine learning, and also I will show you one program which does this thing. Yeah. Data science, a branch of computer science where we study how to store, use, analyze data for deriving information from it. This is what we saw a little bit earlier also. Machine learning, what it is a group of techniques used by data scientists that allow computers to learn from data. Some people use statistics to come to this particular thing. Some people I am using machine learning for that. Some people use mathematics for that. It is to make computer learn from studying data and statistics. This is what I mentioned in the previous session also. ML is a step into the direction of artificial intelligence, a program that analyzes data and learns to predict the outcome. In machine learning, it is common to work with very large data sets. In machine learning, it is common to work with the large data sets. To learn in Python, we should be using NumPy, Matplotlib. I used recently, I moved this to Seaborn package or the module. NumPy, just now we saw a couple of programs, but you can try hundreds of programs, at least 100 programs, which contains numbers plus Python. NumPy replaced previously in when we are studying 2004, 2002 like that, we have something called MATLAB that is replaced with the NumPy. So no more using the MATLAB. This is for plotting, mathematics plotting library. So that is the meaning of this thing. So in order to visualize the thing, we can use Matplotlib. There is a new thing called Seaborn, which is developed based on the Matplotlib. In next Saturday, I'll talk about that one. We have SciPy, sklearn, these are kits. Pandas is a module which gives a structure to this, what are the data comes out. What are the data comes out from the NumPy. For that, you will give the structure, just like as you are seeing in a Excel sheet or in a database query output, we can see in the Pandas. So Pandas is a framework where you give a frame to the data. That is a data frame, right? These are the modules or the packages. These are the tools you need to master in order to learn machine learning. There will be a lot of things will be there, but someone asked a previous question, like, do I master the full stack? No, you have to come here. Yeah, right. Right. These are few steps involved, but in the next Saturday, I will expand this much more into the 12 parts. Steps in machine learning: acquire the data, get data for training, evaluate and testing the ML model based on your domain. The data of the previous data is stored in some server. Suppose you belong to the pharmacy industry, it will be there in some repository or in some server. If you are for the training purpose or learning purpose, it will be there in some location. If you are specific to some domain which is internal, that university may store the related data into their university server, which can be accessed only through the username and password. Like that, the data will be stored thing. And we already learned about these things: structured data, hybrid data, unstructured data, and you just go through this one. Once you acquire the data, you can acquire the data through web scraping, through the web API calls, or already stored data. Next, to prepare the data, you have to normalize the data, you have to harmonize the data for effective understanding of that one, so that you will use the data for training purpose, for evaluating purpose, and the testing purpose. And then you train the data, iterate this data to the algorithm. What are the algorithms? We have machine learning algorithms. What kind of algorithms? Supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised algorithms will be there. Those are standard algorithms. As I said, you don't need to master the algorithm writing, but you have to know when to use that particular algorithm, what are the pros, what are the cons for that particular algorithm. That is called the training the algorithm. The output, if you train that particular algorithm with the prepared data, you will end up or come with a model. So that model is your formula. that model is used for predictions. Deploy and utilize the trained model to make real world predictions and develop your application based on the prediction. At the time to develop an application, you may need Django. Django is Python related thing or any other thing like Flask or something. Since this is very, very important, I will repeat those steps in the machine learning, but in the next session, I will much more explore into 12 steps. First step is acquire the data. The source can be anywhere. And get data for training, evaluate and test model. That data is structured data. That data can be hybrid data or semi-structured data. That data, acquired data can be unstructured data. Once that is data is acquired, prepare that data. By using data matplotlib or Seaborn, you can visualize this thing and you can get that. Once that is done, train the data model. Train the model. Iterate through the training data multiple times to build the model. Prepare data, training data, model learning, model validation. This is what machine learning is. Model learning, model validation. This is what machine learning is. I'm repeating. The machine learning contains a set of algorithms. You send your data, train the data. Once that model algorithm got trained, that thing will come model. Take the model and test it with the data set and see that one, visualize this and come out with a formula. Once that formula is ready, use that and deploy it and utilize or use the trained model to make the real world predictions and inferences, right? I will show you a small program which gives a lot of meaning in this particular thing. We try to be attentive and see that one. Yeah, let me go to that particular program. There is that my pie chart. Yeah, this pie chart. Right. You see here, the first step is import pandas, import data frame. As I said, NumPy is for numbers and Python. Once you do the cleanup, once you prepare the numbers or the data with numbers, you can give a frame to that. In order to give a frame or a structured data, you need pandas. That is the purpose of pandas. Pandas session, just like the NumPy, I will show 10 programs in the next section. And then NumPy internally is having some statistics functions. But as the days goes by, we are not going to use the statistics related functions inside the NumPy, but we are going to use something new package called stats model. Here in the stats model, we have some APIs, and instead of writing the stats model.api everywhere, I'm giving an alias. That alias name is SM. That is the meaning of that particular thing. Now, I collected the data from the stock market. This data may not be this much simple, but this example will help you to understand better. This data can be last 6 months data, last 5 years data, 1 year data in the form of an CSV file or in an Excel sheet. The Excel sheet has a column called year, month, interest rate, unemployment rate, stock and exchange rate. So the years are from 2017 to, if you go to, it is collected from 2016 to 2017. And in the 2017, December, November, like this mentioned. For example, January to December, January to December. Interest rate. For this month, the interest rate is 2.75. Don't worry, just a data, assume that this is a data. That interest rate is for that month is 2.5, like that the data is. Unemployment rate. This is the unemployment rate for that month of that year. That is the employment. So based on these two things, we have that stock index price is for the particular stock is 1464 like this. This is varied. Try to visualize this thing in an Excel sheet. This data can come from anywhere, finance.yahoo.com, like Mumbai Stock Exchange rate or any other server, Liquid Credit, some other Equifax. Anyway, the data can come. It can be a real-time data also, like keep on coming. But for our first session, we use this particular data. Once that is done, we will send the data. You see that here, the stock market, entire data we are sending here in a single step. And we are giving this columns is equal to like this. If you don't give this column as here, you can give any name, year 2, month 2, like that. No need to give like this, but equivalently we given here. If you don't give this thing, it will assume that column 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that will come. So we are not doing anything. We are just prepared a dictionary type because it has key value pairs and putting into the data frame. See, it's only a single step we are doing. This one we started and given our customized column names. But here I gave just same as it is. You can save this as also something like this, something like this. Now I will try to print this, print of TF, right? And I'm going here. This is what file name? It's a stats model py. Stats model. You see here, it gave this as a structure for this. Now, if I remove this, go up. These are the data you can visualize this thing. And we have some functions like head of, let's say 7, so that it will be odd. Right. Here it will give the only 7 values so that it will visualize. This is what we given here. This is what we get. Forget about this thing. We first 5 lines of code, the 12 lines of code, only 2 things. We taken a variable, we created a data frame, and we printed out the first columns. These are the first columns which we did this one. So this is actually a pandas part. What is the pandas part? Giving a structure to this particular data. Right. Now, we are going to predict the stock price for maybe 2020, which is not there, month, maybe 6th month, with interest rate and unemployment rate. That is what we are going to do. Or we can read the story, or we can understand the insights or something like that. With the existing data, I will read like this. The stock index price is 1464 for the December month of the 2017 year, and the interest rate and unemployment rate is this much. If I do this thing, I can predict for the 2020 also. For this, what I understood is this should be my output in the prediction. These 2 should be input. These should be input. Irrespective of any year or any month, based on these 2, I can calculate the stock price. That is my trend I will get. So here we have 2 variables for multiple linear regression. If you just want to use, leave this one, I will explain. So the input we are declaring as a new variable called X from the data frame DF. we are extracting only two columns. One column is interest rate, another column is unemployment rate. So these two columns, interest rate column and these values, will get into the X, and we decided that stock index price is the output of that one. So we kept that into the Y variable, right? Once that is done, generally this function is something like Y is equal to, I shown in the slide before, C plus C is a constant plus M1 X1 plus M2 X2 plus M3 X3 plus like this. But in our case, Y is stock index price. Y is stock index price. C here is a constant. We will see that what is that constant is. Plus M1 we need to find out. X1 is, can be interest rate or unemployment rate. X1 is this or that one. If X1 is that one, X2 is this one, right? Stock price is Y. Y. X1 is this thing, this one. Now, it is our wish whether to C is there or not, but it is better to include the C. If we decided that it is better to include the C, what we need to do is we need to use this line. X is equal to SM. What is the SM? SM is alias for the stats model API. So in that we have a add constant. So based on this X, what is X? X is combination of interest rate and unemployment rate. It will calculate the constant and that constant is kept here, right? Now, once that is done, now X is ready, Y is ready, Y is ready and X is ready. What is Y? Y is output, X is input. You can remove this X also, no issues, because at the time it won't add that constant for that particular combination of interest rate and employment rate. But I am adding here. What is fit? It's a simple function called fit. What is this fit will does is, it takes this input, it takes this output. What is the input? Input is the combination of these two things. Is the input and stock is the complete output. Send that, it will take this OLS, that is one of the algorithm, and it trains this fit, will go into iteration and trains the algorithm, and output is model. Output is model. This is a model. It came that much simple example. This one we can do a lot of things, but for this, since it is the first session, we are fitting that one and we are created the model. Using this model, and we are sending the input data only. We are not sending the output data. We are not sending the output data. Once send, because we want to predict. Once you predict, the output will come. That output is called predictions. That predictions, we have summary, model, summary also we can do that. These predictions we can test or analyze against the Y. Y is the output. So I will expand this part and I will explain much more detail. But in summary, what we did, we got extracted data somewhere. Once that is done, using the pandas, we visualize it, or we saw in a structure. We didn't visualize it. We just saw the top head 7 records in that. Then from the data, we identified what can be the output, what is the input, or what is the input and what is the output. Once that is done, what we done is we created a model using the fit method of this thing. Whenever we have a fit, we send the input data, we send the output data. There are situations where there is no output there in the here. At the time, we call it as a unsupervised learning. Actually, this algorithm started learning based on this particular data, and it will create a model. That model summary is here. That model summary is here. I will read out this one. So this model can be anything. No need to be OLS. It can be anything. It's one of the stats model. It can be anything, but we used only one. I will show you in our next session how to use multiple things. Here, the interesting part for us is R squared is one of the things. R squared is the accuracy of that particular algorithm became a model. That means otherwise the accuracy of that model, is 0.898. It may not be much better, but it's better. When we say better, above 0.8, it will be better. Actually, we can achieve the accuracy of 0.96, 0.99. So the value of R squared is 0 to 1. If it is 1, that is a perfect model. That is the one thing. Second thing is, if you see here, constant is there. So the constant, we didn't calculate anything. We just wrote 27 lines of code with all the line spaces. It says that the constant is 17984040. So this is one constant. And another thing is interest rate is this one. Unemployment rate is minus 2.503. So using these things, I can say that the accuracy of the model is this much. And I have some values here, these three values. I will copy and paste it here in my notepad and try to give the formula. The formula is something like this. Y is equal to, Y is what? Stock index price is equal to, constant is this much, that is C plus here, C plus will be there, right? Yeah, C plus, and I said X1 is interest rate based on our program. This one, so 3, 4, 5, M, and it is a X1 plus, since it is having a minus, or you can put a bracket and put minus, and X2. So this is a formula. Using this formula, you can build an application which takes the X1 and X2 as the input and calculate the stock price, and this becomes the formula. So with a simple 2-hour session, we are able to generate a formula, generate a model with the simple 2 packages. What are those packages? One is Panda, another is the stat model thing, and we use one algorithm, OLS algorithm. I will explain more algorithms, and we used only 2 functions here, fit function and predict function, and we are able to do this. Forget about these predictions, we will continue in our next session. But I took in the model, and that model I created a summary. When I printed that particular summary, what happens? Summary given some values here. One is that R squared value. R squared gives you the value between 0 and 1. If it is nearing 1, this is a perfect model, good model. And whatever I given here constant, it is the C value. Interested value is M1. Unemployment value is M2. By using these things, I am able to create the formula. Right? I will stop here, and please look into these videos and the PDFs, and you will be benefited a lot to crack data science in future. Of course, mastering, it will take 3 months to 6 months, but it's a good start for each and everyone. Yeah, thank you from my side. And
John, can you answer some of the questions that are posted before we go up?
Sure, I'll see that if it's relevant to our session, I'll answer. Otherwise, we will see. Yeah, where are we? Chart, where is the chart? Can you please repeat the book name? What book name? Book names I didn't mention anything. Yeah, if really want for starting, there is something called Pratik Gupta. He's a ex-HCL, my colleague employee, and he he written that book. Pratik Gupta, Data Science with Jupyter. And sometimes you don't need to buy that book also. If you are talented enough, go to the bookshop and open the, download the code bundle and colored images. The URL will be there. You can, how do you identify the barrier of performance? Not clear. Barrier of performance. We can take it up later also, that one. What are all our resume should contain? Yeah, resumes should contain your skill set only. So skill set in the sense, like you have to say that what languages you know, like Python and R. Second thing is you should have whatever the modules I mentioned, like a NumPy and Pandas, Seaborn, and whether Jupyter you're using or TensorFlow, how much you are familiar with those things. See, resume is like, whatever you practice that you have to capture it and put it. We can help with those things. If you send a mail to what are the mail ID mentioned or the phone number given, in the window that. How to clean up and organize big data sets. That is a part of next session. So we'll cover. Sir, can you send notes on Python and NumPy? Yes. The PPT and the samples we will send whatever we have, we will do that. Whatever I didn't answer, we can put it in a red mark or a green color so that next fourth question can be green color so that we can take it up in the next session. We'll answer. Please repeat the website mentioned just before going to the ML. What website I mentioned? Please repeat the website mentioned. Actually, that also we will ping you. That is like, one lectures are there. It has 600 examples are there. It is a college lecture notes actually that we will send you through that group or something like that. Yes, I'll help you with that. Yeah. Sir, can you please list out the modules for data analytics? It is there in the PPT. You can revise that one. Hadoop, I really don't know what is Hadoop. And also past 2 years, even I'm working on the data science, I never used Hadoop. Hadoop is fundamental to data science. Answer is no, because 2 years I didn't use that. Will it be useful in cybersecurity? Python will be used for the cybersecurity, but it will be useful if you are gathering the data and from the cybersecurity team, and you want to analyze that particular data and you want to create the automation scripts, it is useful. How can we analyze unstructured data and hybrid data? Will that be this is in the next session. Next session it will be there. Yes. Right. Can we put breakpoints debug in Python? Can we put a breakpoints? Yes, we can do that, but that is not scope of our training for this thing. Yeah. That's an editor thing. Yeah. Can we have more sessions in Python and NumPy in the next time? Sure, why not? If people are there, we are ready. Right. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone. And keep talking to that WhatsApp admin, and we will customize or more things we'll include based on your feedback and all your inputs. Sure. Yeah. What are the green color? We will take it up in the next session, and it will be more interesting. We'll have 3 case studies using just now what we have for the simplest thing. What is that for the stock market trade? We'll send that code and everything through mail or some other media. Thanks everyone. Thanks for the organizers and the students patiently listen to this. Thanks everyone. Yeah.
Thanks, John, for joining us, and it's a wonderful session. And we have 120 people in the team. And so I request all of you to go through these code snippets that we will be sharing with you. And also we'll share this PPT also. Get ready and come back, join us next week, same time, for more intense and detailed training on, with Python and machine learning. Thank you all for joining. Have a good day. Yeah, bye-bye.
Sorry, we have shared this feedback link over there.
Yeah, shared them.
So yeah, the feedback link is shared in the chat window. Please take time to fill it up and also put your questions and your suggestions. We will try to include them in the next sessions. Thank you.